Right, we welcome you to another episode of Learning Stories. This is a show where we interview a diverse set of learners from the 21st century. In each episode of this show, we interview a guest who has a story to share about how they acquired a set of skills and knowledge in a creative and innovative manner. In the process, we hope to uncover a new understanding of learning as conceptualized, imagined, and narrated by the guest on our show. In this season of Learning Stories, we're focused on young Indians doing amazing things in urban India in their own unique contexts. And in the process, they are defining the future of our country. Today's guest is someone I met on an experience I was part of called Jagrati Yatra, and I was really inspired by her journey as a software engineer in India. So let me tell you a little bit about her background before we jump into this conversation. Hillori is from Surat, Gujarat, and she studied at the Bhulka Bhavan School, a well known Gujarati medium school. From ninth grade, she dreamed of joining IIT and started preparing for it in Surat. After 12th class, she went to Kota for a year to study at Vibrant Academy for a G second attempt. She then completed her BTech in Biotechnology from IIT Rourkee. Her career began at Microland, an IT MNC in Bangalore, where she worked as a software developer for 3 years. Now, she's a senior software engineer for over a year at Flowworks, which is a startup focused on generative AI. With hands on experience in designing, developing, and deploying SaaS products, Hillary is deeply passionate about how technology can drive transformational change. She's motivated to make an impact in the world, especially for the underprivileged, and she's really inspired by Sal Khan's journey at Khan Academy. And when she's not working, she enjoys reading and traveling. So, Hillary, I really enjoyed reading that intro, and now, to jump into your journey. Um, I know you're, an accomplished software engineer in your career, but before you got to this point, I'm curious about your childhood. What was Hillary curious about um, as a young person growing up in India? And did you always have an interest in science? And maybe you can tell me a little bit about your parents' influence on your thinking as well.
Thank you for having me and thank you for doing this show. Um, yeah, let me start with my journey as a kid. So, I grew up in a very safe surrounding kind of an environment. I had like role models to look at when I like saw my close family and teachers at my school, principal, all these people. They were like very, I would say, influential on me. I was a good kid, so uh, I used to do whatever they were expecting of me, and I was getting the appreciation that I liked. I tried to do the best academically in sports or wherever I got the opportunity. Coming to the science part that you said, Jules Verne is a science fiction writer, and I started reading its books when I was in sixth, seventh grade in Gujarati, surprisingly. So at that time, I think most of the books that I had at home were in Gujarati, and even the textbooks and everything. I was studying in a Gujarati medium school, but like fortunately, these kind of books were translated in Gujarati, so I got a hang of those. I think best scientists in 20th century and things like that. Those kind of books were also there available at that time, and it was very interesting. Like I was genuinely curious about the field and the kind of things that people accomplished in that field. I think around eighth, like seventh, eighth standard, when I got this maturity that I should think about a career or like what I should become after growing up. At that time, I started thinking about a lot of options and it was very confusing. I think it is confusing for most of us. Yeah, at that time, fortunately, I went to Mumbai at my cousin's place. First time I stepped into a metro and in my eighth vacation, I think. And she's 2 years elder than me. So she was exploring the what is it called, junior college options that she had at that time. And I came across these pamphlet where people, they had written that x many people went into IIT from our college and things like that, our junior college and things like that. So it got me thinking that what is it and why it is written like that in this kind of advertisement pamphlets of colleges. So I went home. I asked my father. We talked about it, and at that time, I was fortunate to have a laptop at my home. So he encouraged me to Google about it and get to know about it. And then, like, I found out that so many great people that I know today, they are they were IITian before, and they are doing well in any field that you can think about. So I was like, problem solved. I can be an IITian and then later on think about what I want to become, because I can become anything I want at that time, right? But if I choose now that I want to go to medicine, or I want to maybe pursue history, then I don't think I will have those many options that I might have when I become an IITian. So that kind of thinking got me into preparing for this exam, and I was fortunate enough that some my father's friend was in physics, like he was like a well-known name in physics at that time in Surat, in 11th 12th, and he found out a good coaching for this joint entrance examination preparation, and I started with foundation course there in ninth itself. So ninth, 10th foundation course, and then 11th, 12th, the actual JE preparation I did. And that was the first time when I like read books in English, I would say. Uh, Academic books, not like fiction books or something like that. Uh, but yeah, it was interesting. Like, I had a dream, I had a goal. I knew it was hard. I knew like whatever I was studying was very interesting, and it was a good enough reason to pursue it. So yeah, that's how I most of my like school days went by, I would say.
That's amazing, Hillary. I have so many questions. Like, were your parents always pushing you and encouraging you? And did you have like other engineers like around you in your family that sort of pushed you to go down that path?
uh, Not really. So I already mentioned uh, my father's friend who was in physics, right? So he
Yeah.
was a teacher, like a tuition teacher, and I think others in my family mostly are in either small businesses or one my maternal um, aunt's father was an engineering professor in SVNIT Surat, and my actually grandfather was also working in SVNIT Surat back in his time. But that time, I don't think I was aware of what SVNIT is, or what engineering is, or things like that. I did not see it as a profession in my home or like outside, but I just liked science and technology. I liked studying, I liked learning new things, and I liked the idea that I can become whatever I want to become if I become an IITian. So that was the main idea why I pursued it. And of course, my parents were always backing me up. I think it's a kind of a dream of every parent if the child becomes an IITian, or at least tries hard to become one, right? Or like at least pursue something like engineering in there. So my father has done BA and my mother has done BSc. They are like really, I think I would say, like smart people. But no, engineering was just a word for me, like till the time I actually started doing it. Uh, so yeah, that was my experience.
And but I know you haven't told me a lot about it, but getting into an IIT in India is one of the hardest things for a young person studying. And the acceptance rate is like less than 1 or 2%, which is more, I mean, less than some of the most competitive exams in the world. And to really get into IIT, you can't just start. So like JEE basically stands for Joint Engineering Entrance Exam, right, Hillary? And it's the
Joint
exam
entrance
you give,
exam. Yes.
and you normally give that exam after the 12th grade, Hillary?
Yes. So after 12th grade, you give the exam and you have one more attempt after that. For the advanced section, I think for mains, you have three attempts. That was my knowledge at that time when I was pursuing it in 2014, 2015.
And like, just for giving the viewers a little background about the IITs were part of a national initiative in the 1950s by the government of India to promote technology as an option for young Indians and to develop the future of the country. The first IIT was the IIT Kharagpur, and IIT Rourkee, which is the IIT that Hillori eventually got into, was part of five or six institutions that were the premier institutions in our country for about 40 to 50 years. And it's extremely hard to get into these institutions, and they have some of the best faculty and resources in the country. So, Hillary, I'm just curious, like for, let's say there's someone that's in the seventh grade or eighth grade now, and they want to prepare for the JEE and to get into an IIT. I know today there are about 20 IITs, and I know there's also an IIT in Zanzibar and Abu Dhabi now through an international partnership, but it's still very hard to get in. So if you were talking to someone that's in the seventh standard now and you had to give them some tips to prepare for the JEE in that 4 year period, like
Mhm.
what were some things that you would suggest from based on your experience?
Okay, so I would say focus on the fundamentals. Maths is very important. Like, maths is something like school maths, or I think CBSE or Gujarat board maths is, I think, very simple. You just practice it twice or thrice and you get a hang of it. But the kind of foundational maths you need in cracking JEE or exams like that, uh, that requires a lot of practice, a lot of patience, a lot of love for what you are doing, or at least, motivation for whatever your end goal is. So maths is very important. Foundations like trigonometry, geometry, algebra, these things. So there was a book called Problems in Mathematics that we used to do, and it's a very tough book, I would say. Like, now I wouldn't say it is tough, but like someone who's in seventh, eighth, ninth grade, for them, I think it may be tough. Um, but once you start doing it and you have like good mentors, then you'll be able to get on with it, and it will help you in chemistry as well as physics, because math is everywhere and you need speed, right, to solve all these things. So I think focus on maths for your earlier preparation period. Physics and chemistry is something that you can uh, take take on after 10th, 11th as well. So that's my advice, I think.
And like in terms of the exam, like how is the exam structured? So is it something you give when you're at school, or do you have to give it outside school? So you continue studying in like your regular stream and you give the JE as well. So how does that work?
So it's like an entrance exam like any other. So I think nowadays you can give, when you are in 12th, you can give this exam twice. There are two batches in which this happens, but I would not say, you just do your research on your own. Uh, Majoritarily, people are preparing for JEE mains, which is for colleges like NITs, triple ITs, and others. For IITs, you need to prepare for JEE advanced. At least that is what it was in 2014-15. Um, and JEE advanced is kind of like tougher version of an exam than JEE mains. So JEE mains, if you can compare it with CBSE, then it will be like CBSE plus, and then advanced will be CBSE plus plus plus. So it requires different kind of knowledge or depth of knowledge, I would say, to clear advanced exams, because a lot of critical thinking, a lot of out of the box kind of questions come in, said by professors of IITs and people like that. So, and there are a lot of like +6, -2 kind of negative marking. So you need to be sure about what kind of questions that you are answering and all these things, right? It's, you can never like guess and get marks by chance. It's not an exam like that.
And like I know in your when we were talking previously, you told me like in your bio you mentioned that it was not possible for you to get that required score in your first attempt. So to
Mm-hmm.
increase your chances after your 12th grade, for a year you moved to Kota, which is one of the premier cities in India to allow people to train for the JEE exams. There are lots of coaching academies there. So, how did you think that your preparation improved for the second attempt while you were at Kota? What was different in Kota?
I would say in Kota, you get access to exactly what you need to prepare, at least in 11th, 12th, or when you are doing these kind of preparations. You have like board syllabus, you have a lot of textbooks for JEE, like preparation of physics, chemistry, maths, like huge textbooks, I would say. And then a lot of problem sets, and like everything is there in the market for JEE. But when you go to Kota, and when you are in that institute where you get to learn from the best faculty in the India, in the whole India, for physics, chemistry, maths, and the kind of, I think, study material that you get, the kind of notes that you write in your class, that is more than sufficient to cover most of what is asked in JEE. So you kind of get a very focused kind of a syllabus, and of course the faculty is best, so whatever you could, like in city like Surat, you will get a teacher who's maybe good at inorganic chemistry but not so good at physical chemistry. There you will get faculties who are like specifically for physical chemistry and inorganic chemistry, like separate faculty itself. If there is a topic like optics, right? So optics is a very, like, it's a very different kind of a topic in physics, and you need some visual skills and things like that to actually understand that topic well. And in Surat, you would have like one physics teacher who would teach you everything, but there there will be a very, uh, I think, an expert on that topic that will come and teach you that particular subject. So you are learning from the best. Um, you have limited reference material to actually go through, so your confidence increases. Every month there are exams, uh, like the entire batch gives the exam, 1,000 people, 2,000 people, those kind of number of people give that exam. You get a ranking, you know where you are standing, right? So these kind of things actually help. um, there are two sides of everything. So here you actually start getting pressurized if you are not getting good ranks, and maybe you are not in top classes. So there is this whole ranking system. I think they have stopped that now, but at our time it was there. So if you get a rank between 1 to 150, then you'll be in top class, uh, and you will be taught by best faculties. Then 150 to, and so on, like your class number kind of determines how good you are, kind of a thing. So it's it was quite, uh, I would say, difficult kind of an environment. But if you're motivated enough and you get good company, then you can always sail through, and of course, like, take that as an advantage to make your scores better, right?
Yeah, and I think like there's a lot of ups and downs in that journey. Based on what I'm hearing, the chances of the students getting through in the first batch would probably be a lot higher based on that ranking, right? Like the is that how it is? Like if you are in the highest class, more students like possibly get
Will
through
get,
the like a
yes,
higher rank.
right,
So it's sort of their way of saying like these students are probably the most prepared and you need to, get as close to that as possible.
yes,
I think what's hard to also contemplate is that it's a very competitive exam. So you have to be really, really on point to be able to get in the top ranks, right?
right. So
But
I
like,
fortunately had some 18,000 something rank, very insignificant rank in my first attempt. There are only 10,000 seats or something, and for general category, half of them, right? So I couldn't get anything in my first attempt, like a seat. But since I had gotten a rank, I automatically got into the first class, first batch in the cohort. And then I maintained that uh, rank in the class as well, in the monthly exams as well. And I had like good bunch of other girls who were like working hard with me. We were solving each other's doubts, and luckily they were also there in my PG where I was staying. So we were like staying together, we were going to classes together, we were chilling together. So it was a very good kind of an environment. I would say I would consider myself very lucky of having those kind of peers there.
So, like now, once you gave your second attempt, Hillary, and then once you get a rank, so how? I know there are like about 18 IITs. So, do you get to choose your IIT based on the rank, and do you also get to choose your stream based on the rank? How does that work, and what rank, were you able to achieve in your second attempt as well?
All right. So in my second attempt, I got a rank close to 5,000. And so generally, like when there used to be like limited number of seats, now every year the seats are increasing a little bit, so it's hard to determine. But at that time, whatever closing ranks were there for a particular branch in a particular college the earlier year, that was kind of a benchmark for you, that you will get a seat here or there or things like that, but based on your current rank. So for me, if I chose a good IIT, like a old IIT, I would say top 7, 8 IITs that we have in India, then I would have to choose a field that is not so sought after, like uh, biotechnology, metallurgy, geology, things like that. And if I were to choose branch like computer science or mechanical and things like that, then maybe I would have gotten that in the baby IITs or the newer IITs. So generally, the process happens like you have a portal where you have like all the options, all the college options and all the courses options, and then you just select the priority in which you want to get admitted. So I can say uh, IIT Bombay Computer Science as my first priority. Then maybe IIT Delhi Computer Science as my second priority, and so on. I can choose all the colleges, all the courses that I want to. But the thing is that everybody wants IIT Bombay Computer Science or IIT Delhi Computer Science. So the top 100 rankers will get that. I will not get that because I have like 5,000 rank, right? So that's how the selection process happens. First, rank preference is given, like seen, and your college preference is seen, and whatever matches is given to you.
And like, is there a difference between the older IITs, which is like IIT Delhi, Bombay, Kharagpur, Roorkee, the first IITs and the newer IITs? Like, what would you say is the difference in terms of faculty, resources, funding? Because I had another friend that cleared the JE, and he got to choose between IIT Kharagpur and IIT Gandhinagar, but at Kharagpur, he was not getting the course he wanted and he wanted to stay closer to home. So he chose Gandhinagar. Like, what are the differences between the older and newer IITs?
I think the first and foremost difference will be the culture. Um, Culture in the sense, the older IITs already have a lot of clubs and groups that are like dating 20, 25, 30 years back, and a kind of a legacy, I would say, on like you get to meet alumni from uh, IIT Rourkee who studied 50 years back in your institute, right? And you can see where they have reached and things like that. So I think generally culture and legacy, these two things, is something that you don't get in a new IIT because it's getting established. You will be the ones who will actually set up the culture, will set up new groups and new activities and all these things. You will maybe decide where the funding should go if students are given that kind of a choice. So yeah, that difference is always there. I would not say there will be much difference between the quality of professors, but yeah, like in terms of seniority, maybe uh, IIT Roorkee might have like more senior faculty with compared to some other newer colleges. I think that's how it is. Otherwise, I think course wise, you can study from anywhere, right? It's just obviously, yeah, the placement as well. So because companies know the name, because the companies have been coming to those campuses for a long time, uh, it is their general practice to go to these colleges, then change their, I think, routine, I would say, to just go to some other colleges. And even the newer IITs have lesser number of seats, so if you go there, you get to choose from a lesser a number of cohort than older IITs. So those differences are there, I would say. But if your goal is to pursue masters or like higher studies and things like that, then that shouldn't matter much, other than, yeah, uh, extracurriculars and, yeah, those things. There is a difference, honestly.
So, like, and then what stream did you choose, and what IIT did you decide to go into?
So I I wouldn't say I had many options, but whatever rank that I had this choice of a few courses at IIT Kharagpur, a few courses at IIT Rourkee. I think I mentioned the name of the courses: uh, biotechnology, metallurgy, geology, geotechnology, things like that. In Kharagpur, there was marine biology, and I was kind of, more inclined towards getting into an older IIT than a newer one, because I was not sure about what I wanted to study. It was more like I wanted to live there and learn from others and things like that. So I chose IIT Roorkee, and that too biotechnology, because I was always interested in biology as well. But I had to drop that in 11th, just so that I could focus on JEE preparation, right? So it is a very interesting subject, and like when I got to know that I'm getting these courses, I read all the course names on the website of IIT, and I think this one hit the right note. I mean, I thought, I could be an engineer and I could learn biology as well, and it was very interesting in that way. And also, personally, like, I had this crazy idea in 11th that I would want to go to MIT to pursue research in uh, brain and cognitive science. And the end goal would be to find out how moral values are developed in early childhood, and maybe we can use that, because I think most of the world's problem, as I saw at that time, was mostly because people think that it is okay to do things that are not okay, right, for the society, for the good of others. So yeah, that was kind of a crazy part at that time. So biotechnology kind of resonated with that idea as well, that it is kind of a similar field, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and that's really interesting that you had that sort of ambition, right? Because you're suddenly thinking about not only what you would learn, but also how you would apply what you learned in the real world, right? And like, for someone that doesn't know anything about biotechnology, if you had to maybe break it down in like a couple of sentences, like maybe by telling me some examples of how biotechnology is used in the real world, like could you help me understand that? What is biotechnology, and two or three places where it was effectively used in the real world?
Okay, I think biotechnology in easy terms is application of whatever we learn in biology as a science. So it is the technology aspect of biology. So we learn that, how genetics work, right? And then we develop methods like IVF and uh, gene sequencing and things like that. So that is one application. Like, you learn about genes, and then you actually learn to how to work with it, how to make use of it to maybe cure a disease, or to find out if you have a disease, or to maybe do uh, gene editing and things like that. So there are a lot of uh, interesting concepts there. Then in biotechnology, agri and plant side of it also comes. So all the application, I mean, all the hybrid agriculture related innovations that we are seeing, like increasing yield of crop, maybe finding out or creating a seed that cannot get infected by worms and things like that. That kind of research also comes under biotechnology that affects us in daily life, right? Then third aspect is obviously medicine. So once we find out, I think in medicine also, personalized medicine is a very interesting field where biotechnology gets applied, where uh, from your genes and from your physique and things like that, you actually can create medicines that are very specific to you and your body, right? So that is where I think in future that field is going to only grow. So these three, I think, very real applications of biotechnology, I would say, we are seeing or will see in future. And then there is, of course, like sci-fi kind of use cases where what is it called? I'm forgetting the name, but someone who is kind of a cyborg, but a bio cyborg, I would say. So you kind of can get superhuman abilities in theory if you learn how to apply robotics in biology, right? In human or animal world. So right now it is already being used as artificial limbs and things like that. But yeah, in future, if we think about increasing the lifespan of humans and all these kind of things, then yeah, biotechnology is something that encapsulates all these kind of ideas, I'd say.
You explained it really well, Hillori. Like I feel like I got curious about biotechnology now and some of the
Okay.
developments. So thank you for that. But like at IIT Rourkee, what was the student life like at IIT Rourkee, Hillori? And then, like was there a class you really, really enjoyed? And were there some extracurricular activities that you really liked at IIT Rourkee?
Okay. So I would like to focus more here on the personal side of my journey as well. Uh, so when I went to IIT, like a girl who always, did good at academics and sports and other extracurricular activities and things like that, and I went there and I started becoming part of these groups that were formed. So one of the group is called Information Management Group that um, maintains the intranet as well as internet website of the IIT and the intranet portal of the IIT. So it's a group of developers and designers who do this, and they already have a cool lab at computer science department, and all the kind of soft computers they need and all the resources they need, they have it. The designers have a iMac, the MacBook screen or whatever it's called. So yeah, so it's pretty crazy kind of a thing that anybody who wants to do anything, they get the best things there. Like if you want to pursue photography, you get the best equipments. You have the budget. You just ask for it, you can just take it and you do whatever you want to do it with it. So uh, there was one video of my batchmates only, like 2019 batch, that was very famous, which was, what is it called? Shape of You dance on YouTube. Uh, so there was cinematography section, then there was dance section, then there was some other section as well, lights and sound section. There are a lot of sections in IIT Roorkee. They collaborated and they made this video and it hit so many views at that time. So you get the best facility and you make the best out of it, because you feel that you have worked very hard to achieve this and you should make use of it. So extracurricular wise it was fantastic, but for me it all became very overwhelming for some reason, because I had this appreciation from the teachers and parents, and always I got this validation somewhere. And when I went there, I was nobody. Like whatever I thought I was good at, everybody was better than me. Like most of the people were better than me in that particular aspect. So it was very hard digesting the fact that I have to, like, I haven't done anything yet. I have to do a lot more, and I have to choose where I want to shine. And I need to choose my path. And again, that whole thinking that, who should I become, and like what kind of career path I should choose, or what kind of even extracurricular things that I should do, things like that came into picture. And I realized slowly that I am an introvert. I mean, so many people in the campus, so many people doing so amazing things, and there are so many groups like getting formed that this group will be found at this place at this time, chilling together, and a different kind of a scene altogether. Like if you count, then I think in IIT Rourkee at that time, around 7 to 8,000 students would be studying, like from first year to fourth year BTech, then masters, then PhDs, and all these people. So you can imagine like the whole campus bustling with people, and so many resources, and so many, I would say, aspirations, and all these things. It was very overwhelming. And then for studies as well, like I took it lightly for first year or almost second year, because I just wanted to have fun and all. But my grades were not that great in first second year, so then I had to. And also, like, I was doing a lot of things, and like in IITs, when you do anything, you are expected to give your 100%. Otherwise, like, otherwise don't do it at all. It's like that. So if you choose multiple things, you have to give your 100% in multiple things. And then at some point in time, it becomes like, you don't have time for yourself as well. It becomes like that. So that happened to me. I was part of like 3 4 campus groups. I was also in swimming, um, and in swimming we do inter IIT aquatics meet, where we compete with other IITs in swimming and other sports as well, but I was in swimming. So morning, like 1 hour, 1.5 hour, you'll go for preparation, like practice of your swimming, and then evening almost 2 hours, like 1 hour for conditioning, strength, and things like that, and one extra hours for the swimming. And then you also go to your classes in the day. Then in the evening, there are a lot of campus activities. The groups that you were part of, there are general body meetings and what, like a lot of things, like uh, parties, like every group would have their own parties, trips. Every group will have their own trips, and so many things going on. And I kind of overlooked my health at that time, and I got skin infection very badly. And like having my mother as like, she is a naturopath, and we have never taken any medicine, or like nothing has happened to us ever. Like I haven't been to hospital ever. And at that time I came to a situation in second year that you know I was eating medicine, like low power medicine, nothing was happening. Then high power dose, and then capsules, like it was first time I ate capsules. So I had to go through all these kind of treatments, and then it went off. Like finally I got uh, cured from that disease. And at that point in time, I thought, no, like health is the bare minimum thing that I need to take care of. And then I will build on top of that one by one, like whatever I want to explore and things like that. So third year onwards, I focused on my grades, I focused on my health. And I also like explored all the different kind of career paths there are on the internet. And like as I said, Khan Academy, I love Khan Academy because I think Sal Khan has these videos on YouTube where different career paths, like how they are working currently, and like what is expected from them, what the day looks like. So I saw those videos and it was very helpful. I also like started doing pranayama and yoga, which I used to do in school as well. Like in school we had this class, so I was very fortunate to learn that, and that calmed me down. Like my mental energy, my health, everything started coming back to me. And at that time I started also reading a lot of books, like a lot of time, I think self learning kind of time than group activities, or where I just had to run from one place to another and I was not able to actually accomplish anything. It was very like exposure wise it was very good, and I think those who already knew how to take care of their health and how to juggle between different things and all these things, then for them it was, I think, a very good opportunity to sharpen their skills and grow their networks and things like that. But for me it kind of took me to some other place, where I started reading you know talks on Gita by Vinoda Bhave, what's the point of life and things like that. So at that time, I think people generally think about life because you are living alone away from family, and what is your purpose in life, not just from career perspective or from a childlike perspective that I want to become a scientist or I want to become this or do this, but actually like what is the point of your life, or like what what are your gifts, or what is it that you can do for the world and things like that. So that was at that time all these things were going on in my mind. And finally like I thought that okay, civil service is something that I think I should be pursuing because I always wanted to give back to society, and like earning while giving back to the society and getting, I think, good reputation at the same time. I think all things were getting checked by civil. But I at that time, I think I was very positive or very optimistic kind of on that thing that, I'll be able to prepare for it and be able to do it in a year or two or something like that. But I think is eventually it got to me that so much of syllabus and so many hours of preparation, and already I had done JE for a long time and now this, and it kind of started growing on me that are you sure about this? And at that time then fourth year came and placements came. I told my parents that I don't want to sit in the placements. I want to study for UPSC, and I'll see whatever I'll stay at home after fourth year, and maybe I'll go to Delhi if I need to, but I want to do this. And even if I don't get IS or whatever, like whatever I get, that will be my you know career path, that I want to serve civil service. I think any service you take, you are working for the government, you are working for the people. So it's a think noble thing to do, if you're doing it right. So that was at that time that, but yeah, my parents kind of told me to sit in the placements, and I started preparing for it. So very, I think, a moment came where I realized that I wanted to do things because I was seeing impact, like I was seeing the impact that I could make on people, right? That I could make on on society and all these things. But I was not really seeing at the time that how am I making impact on my family or myself, right? That realization was not there, and it came eventually, like very slowly, when I started seeing the reality that everyone is preparing for the placements, and they are not just doing it for money. I don't I don't know why they are doing it or whatever is it that they are doing it, but you know I should also think about earning from the point of view that I am earning for myself. That kind of a realization, I don't know, like most majority of people in my college had that realization at the time when fourth year came and all these things, but I never saw money as a motivation or corporate as a place where I could go and make my career. So it was a very uncomfortable situation, I would say, to think about placements and to think about going to corporate, think about myself earning money for my family. Like it was always, I was always thinking that, I'll be an IITian, I will excelling in whatever I choose and money will just come, by. So that was my thought earlier. And then suddenly that hit me that, okay, if I do UPSC, then I'll have to sit at home. I'll not be earning. I'll be missing this opportunity of whatever platform that I got in IIT. Finally, people come to IIT for placements, not for anything like that is the majority of their goal, right? To get placed in a very good company and all these things. So I started preparing for the placements and for various roles that come for the placements, but I was not sure what I wanted to do because I did not want to do it. Like corporate was not my goal. So I cleared a lot of exams. So I would say I'll let you know the process of placements in your uh, seventh semester. A lot of companies just come and take exams, like written exams, uh, where you are asked aptitude, uh, maybe some case studies if it is a consultant kind of a role or analyst kind of a role. Uh, you are asked maths, sometimes you are asked um, coding questions if it is a software kind of a role. You are asked to submit maybe presentations or solutions on things if it is a product management kind of a role. So all these process I went through it. I did not reject any company just because I was not sure. So I was sitting in all the companies that were coming and I was allowed to sit in, and I got shortlisted in like 7 to 8 companies. And like after you get shortlisted, uh, there is this December 1st, like last month of November, last day of November and December 1st. So day 0, day 1. So then day 2, day 3, and so on. So those days, the actual recruiters come, will take your interview. So day 0 will be provided to the companies which are maybe paying the highest package and has the like most reputation as recruiters, right? So they'll get to sit on day 0 and take the brightest minds from whatever batch there is. And so you have interviews lined up from morning till night and it just goes on 24 hours. So if you were shortlisted in like 3 companies in day 0, then you have like 3 interviews and you just have to sit till your time comes. And there's a lot of pressure, a lot of people nervous, maybe someone crying because they couldn't clear the interview, and lot different kind of scenario. You are wearing suit for the first time, you are wearing placement like what is it called? Formal shoes for the first time. It is very uncomfortable. You meet these kind of people like maybe 5 years experience, 10 years experience in the industry for the first time in your life, and that too they are judging you. You are giving them an interview, right? So that kind of a setting. So I had my first interview in Goldman Sachs as an analyst on day 0 that I blew up. Then like I was not confident. I was like, I haven't done anything. I don't have any skills. Why would someone pick me, right? That was the mindset that I had at that time. And then uh, day 1 Flipkart, I had a product management interview, and that too I couldn't make it, and for the similar reasons. Like I had asked the reason later on, and the interviewer told me, you were not trying hard enough. I was like, okay, how can I try hard enough when I'm not motivated enough to go there, right? So that was the mental state I was in. Second day, I had more interviews. Third day, more interviews. And then a point came where most of the interviews got over. Like I think 60-70% of the batchmates got placed. So at that time, we had to write exams once again. Like some new companies came in, and like all the batches that took exams in the first like seventh semester that got over, almost over. I had to write exam again, and I was almost on the verge of crying that I have to do this all over again now. All the interviews that I had, I blew up, and then I was like, it's okay. I never wanted to do this. Why am I trying to prove anyone that I am the ideal candidate for your company, because I don't know what you do. I don't know. I haven't. Uh, I I would say, like, I never romanticized it as a career, you know. Then how would I convince you that I want to work in this? So I kind of got into that zone that okay, whatever way may be. And then on day 4, I had this interview at Microland, and I was so calm and so patient and so like at peace with whatever situation that I had, that my interview went well and I got selected in the company. Yeah, so that was the placement experience for me. They asked me about my work at like whatever things that I had done in campus. I think that's it. No technical questions or things like that. So yeah, it was kind of a good interview. Something that I already knew I had to tell. I did not have to prepare for it. Some external uh, pages I had to mug and things like that. So yeah, I got through that. And so meanwhile, in fourth year, I had this BTech project, which is like everyone has to do the final year project. It goes on for 2 semester and it has like 20 credits or something, like almost equivalent to 1 semester of courses. And I was doing that under a professor, is like still my mentor, still I talk to him, still I ask him my doubts and help and all these things. He's an amazing person. He is not in IIT Rourkee right now. Like he just recently went to the US in some other university. But I was pursuing research under him for my BTech project, and I was thinking that uh, science. Okay, I think going back a little to my second year where I did this internship at IIT Rourkee only in research lab where I did some work in genetics, and I did like it. I would say it was too slow, like too slow. You want to achieve something on paper, it looks like you just have to do this, and it takes like 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, 6 months, and you are nowhere. It's just like that. In biotechnology, you need a lot of patience. In any science related to bio, I think uh, you need to be very patient. All your experiments are not going to succeed, even if it's just an experiment, not even something that you are trying to prove or anything. It's just an experiment that also you need to do 5 times because biological parameters and things like that change, right? And you fail at these experiments, and it takes time to actually achieve what you want to achieve. So it was too slow. So that point in time I was like dropping the idea, or also like I think I was low on self-esteem going to IIT, seeing these many people that the idea of becoming scientist, and like it was kind of becoming hazy at that point in time. Plus I knew that I had to like leave India and uh, go outside to go abroad to study, and I think that idea also did not, like, when you dream about it, it's different because you're just thinking that what you'll study and all. But when you actually want to pursue it, or you start thinking about actually doing it, at that time it hits you that your parents will be away from you, you will be alone um, in an unknown country, and all these kind of things hit you. And people say that when you leave India, you don't come back that easily for some reason, and like for the love of the country and for the love of the people, I wanted to stay here. So that also like kind of turned me against the idea of pursuing higher degrees and doing science. So the fourth year project that I had, I gave my everything that this is the only science thing that I'm going to do. So I did that. I enjoyed that as well. But it was, of course, very slow, and I couldn't make any impact from it because it was just a year long project, right? So people like take 4 years, 5 years in PhD and still just discover a very teeny tiny thing in science, or let alone like generating actual impact where your discovery will be used to maybe do something in for like thousands of people across the country, right? That's something that I think few scientists would be achieving in their lifetime. So that idea dropped, and then yeah, Microland was waiting for me, like recruited as a next generation technology cadre, that is like graduate engineer trainee kind of a role in the company. So in the vacation, in the fourth year vacation, I studied a little about still the UPSC thing, like a little UPSC thing. But yeah, I was like, this is a final vacation that I will get in my life. So I have to make the best out of it. I was spending time with family and all these things. And I went into the company, and they had a really great training program for 2 3 months. So because they knew that the people that they are recruiting, they are not from IT background, or like they haven't studied computer science or engineering like that. So we were taught.
Sorry. At this point, you're like graduated from IIT Rourkee, like
Yes, yes,
then you
yes.
start the training. So
Yes, then I
like
started.
once you were done with IIT Roorkee
Mhm.
and you got that placement at Microland, so
Mhm.
now I know for the last 6 to 7 years, it was so amazing to hear your journey at IIT Roorkee, Hillori. I feel like I was a student there when you were narrating it. Like some of the
Okay.
things I picked up when you were talking was that like IIT is such a stimulating environment to be in, but it can also be so overwhelming because there are so many, amazing, smart people around you, and they're all, so aspirational. They have so many dreams and ambitions. So the way you were able to balance, choosing your priorities and, choosing, because it's also a time when you have so much to explore as a young person, right? So you can also go down the wrong path, so like it's really important to have family and like some sort of grounding at that point. So I feel like, but you also were able to share like a very honest, vulnerable part of how it's not easy once you get into IIT as well, right? You have to work hard on the placements, you have to work hard on your course. And I really like that last story you said about understanding maybe academia wasn't for you, like scientific research also has a rigor. And I think the favorite part I really enjoyed was that you said that you wanted to stay back, in the country and really contribute like from the country because, when you are in IIT, the world is open up to you, right? You can take any opportunity. And I think that was really like patriotic and really powerful to see how you wanted to stay back and contribute, to the country alone. So much I got from that, that story you shared. Like now, once you graduated from IIT, I know you've been working as a software engineer for 7 years, and your first 3 or 4 years were at like 5 years. 5 years, okay. But like you can tell me more. I'm really curious about your time as like a software engineer, but you first worked in a large multinational corporation. Now you are working at a startup. So, could you tell me like what was your experience coming in as a graduate, and how did you get to the point you are at in your career right now? Like what was this 5 year period like for you?
So for me, I think I need to be curious or interested in whatever I'm doing. Otherwise, you know, I just don't see a point in doing that at all. Like, I don't see a point in doing something because I'm getting something I don't want, or, I don't know. Like, that is the mindset that I've always done things with. And in this journey at Microland, where I was part of as a cohort of fresh graduate trainees, we actually got an opportunity to learn computer science principles and things like that from scratch uh, in like a couple of months. That was very application oriented, like how it will be applied in work, right? Not just academically, like they are teaching us, but actually the actual application of it. I learned so much about computers that, like, I had this opportunity in the groups that I were in earlier as well, but somehow I couldn't, like, hit that spot where I found that, this is something really interesting. That did not occur when I was in college, but here, I think the teachers were very, like, they were amazing. They were very supportive. They let us ask any questions that was there, and since I had nothing to lose, like, I did not have a reputation to make, or like, I was not thinking myself as part of the corporate world, or I was staying here for a long time, because I was thinking in back in my head, maybe civil services. But anyways, like, I was there, and uh, they were teaching, and they were encouraging us to ask questions. I was really into it. Like, I was asking questions, and then I went home. I was going home and uh, learning more on the internet as well. So there is this series of computer science on Crash Course, which is, like, very interesting, very very interesting. So if you start off with computer science, then if you view that, like, YouTube series, then it will make you really fall in love with the science that it is. So it happened with biotechnology, and then now it happened with computer science as well. Fortunately, that I was going into fundamentals of things, like how things actually worked. I never imagined that phone I'm using, or the laptop that I'm using, whatever applications that I'm using, there is some data center out there where some server is running, and some disks are there which are storing my data. There are a lot of people who are, like, working 24/7 to maintain that thing, and there are a lot of programmers who are making this so that I can actually watch YouTube and learn from the internet. And that kind of thought only came at that time when I think I learn from teachers, or like someone who is teaching, like literally teaching the subject, uh, more than learning from references or some YouTube videos and things like that. So that real connection really helps. Also, like, I've always been a good kid, I said, so I always pay my full attention in any class that I go to. So doesn't matter, like, how boring I find it, or how interesting I find it. My attention is always 100%. That kind of magically moved me into the direction that this is also an interesting field, right? And then after, like, a few months of training, we were given a choice to join some team. uh, like, there were a lot of teams, and managers from those team came and explained what kind of projects they were doing, and then we had this choice to actually choose where we wanted to go. And I couldn't choose anything. There were a lot of opportunities, but then I ended up into a very cool project that was happening. So Microland is a services based company, and they were trying to build products. And this was their idea, that we'll have hire from the best minds of India. Like, we'll hire best minds of India, and then we'll make products that will actually grow our business in that direction. So I got into that team, and there were highly motivated people, like all of us, all of them. I think somewhere we connected, because the HR round that happens in interviews, they actually have a very good sense of who, like, how they want to define the culture when they are hiring, right? Or like, who will fit in that culture. And that also happened with my interview in Microland, and all the people that joined, they were very, like, we were connecting at like various levels, and we were like very similar kind of mindset kind of people. So I was enjoying more here than maybe I had enjoyed in IIT, I would say, because there, you are constantly part of so many things, and there are so many kinds of people, and you don't focus on a small group and try to learn from that small group, or at least I couldn't at that time. So here I got that opportunity, and we were like a team of 10, 12 people, and we started off building products for Microland, and it was amazing. Like you find out opportunities talking to different departments, like what kind of difficulties they are facing and what kind of solutions we can build, and then you learn about programming, and then you try to apply that to solve a particular business use case, right? So that was also something that kind of like I thought that okay, this is some at some level impactful. Like I'm not able to maybe do impact on millions of people, but I am, if I learn this skill, if I learn building something like this, like some digital or IT product, right? If I try to learn building softwares, then maybe I can make an impact in a very small way. But then, like if I choose in future to work on a problem which is faced by a lot of people on the earth, then software is the way, because software solutions can reach like across the countries and like across the borders and things like that. So that hit me, and then like slowly I tried to learn the craft better. So in college, I was told by my parents and others as well that job opportunities are only in software mostly when it comes to placements, right? I was like, everybody is doing that. Why should I do that? What kind of different impact would I be able to do if I do this? There are so many people in country and like elsewhere who want to become software engineers. So how is my path any better? How like I always wanted to be extraordinary or different or unique, and like that was my mindset. So this particular field I was constantly dodging whenever I was coming to that area where I could think that okay, this could be, and I was constantly dodging it just for whatever mental blockades I had made for myself. But I came here and then I realized that it matters like what you choose to work on, and like what kind of skills you build, it matters. And I think that point in time I started building, like started working on building skills. uh, People in college, I think nowadays start learning data structures and algorithms, and a lot of like com- full stack development and things like that. I started it at my second or third year of career journey, and yeah, it was interesting. Like learning all these things was interesting, and the good part was that I was able to apply it in my day to day job as well. So it kind of like I kind of liked what I was doing, and then I slowly figured out that okay, if I want to really make an impact, then I have to maybe also learn entrepreneurship, and you know uh, do something of my own, or at least join hands where people are doing something that really matters to them, right? So at that point in time, I figured that maybe I should think about getting closer to those kind of people, right? uh, Making connection in that direction. And then Flowworks happened. Like I got selected as a software engineer there. We are a very small team, like 10-15 people. So there we were a 10-15 people team building a product in a such a big organization. And here we are a team of like the company itself is 10-15 people yeah, of size. So yeah, it's amazing looking at these young people. So our co-founders are only 30-31 year of age, and still they are making products, or they are like at least thinking about products that can actually work at scale, that can work for big organizations. And I'm learning a lot from like both developing software side as well as how to maybe raise money, how to talk to investors, how to take your company in different directions as different situations arise, how to stay true to your vision. So these kind of things how to hire people, how to keep people happy that you have hired. So these kind of things I'm able to learn when I'm here. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and I'm really appreciating whatever, I think, choices, whatever happened till now, and where I am, just because something or the other happened.
I think like what's fascinating to hear, Hillary, is that when you started at Microland, like you were not very competent with computer science, but you were brave enough to start from scratch and develop the skills, to get to a point where you were like a competent developer, and then build an entire career. Because moving from biotechnology to computer science, I mean, they're two different. I mean, the foundations of all scientific fields are physics, chemistry, math, like physics and math largely, right? But I don't think it's easy to, you know it's because you were not only transitioning to study it, you were actually doing a job as a computer science developer while you were learning about it, right? So I think just how vulnerable you were and open you were to acquiring skills, I think that's something a lot of young people can really learn from. And I think, like, for a young software developer in India, Hillary, like what is the career path? Like, you can start off at a company and you become the CTO. Is that the path most software developers follow, or do most people, like somewhere in their mid career, go off into like an entrepreneurial path where they want to build and start their own thing? So what is the career graph for a software developer or a programmer in India?
So what happens is, when you start as a software developer, it depends where you are starting. Like, is it a startup? Is it a mid-level company? Is it a large company? Is it a company like Fang, right? So, at every different companies, you kind of develop different kinds of skills. So, in a scenario in startup, it doesn't matter what technologies you are using, as long as you are getting done whatever is required for the business, right? You are constantly maybe um, learning something new and applying it, and just that's how you are growing. And like, wherever there is a need, whether it is in designing the application, or designing the architecture of the application, or uh, doing DevOps kind of a work where deployment of the application is coming into picture, or maintaining the cloud. So there is just one role for it, software engineer. That person has to do everything when the time comes, and when the situation starts going in that direction. So you cannot say no, that I'll only focus on building this application in Python because I know Python and I have learned Python, and I want to be skilled at Python, so I will only do this. That doesn't work in a startup. In mid to large organizations, so mostly like the kind of projects that you are doing, they will get you those projects based on your skills, and you get to go like in depth in those set of skills and learn more about it and be expert at it. um, so two different kind of scenario, right? As you progress in your journey in your software developer path, there are different kind of titles. So associate software developer, senior software developer of it. And in companies like Amazon, it is SD1, SD2, and things like that. So just as you become more senior, the responsibility of the code that you are writing, that piece of code that you're writing, that like becomes larger, like you are responsible for larger chunk of the product, right? And as you progress in startups, you have this dual kind of a role. Like, if you're an engineering leader, then you have to manage people as well as work on the architecture of the product. So you are responsible end-to-end engineering kind of a situation, right? From mentoring people, from like doing their performances and all these things, to actually doing like deciding the design of the product and designing like all the different parts of it, um, choosing like who should work on what, and like doing the project management for it as well, that when should we do this and all these things. So those kind of things a startup leader, engineering leader would do. You can call them a CTO or engineering lead or things like that. In mid companies or large companies, generally there are two different roles at which you go to. So after 3 to 4 years of or 5 years of experience, if you just want to do engineering management, then you can go into that direction where you'll be responsible in leading the team in doing a certain thing, like basically delivering a certain uh, software piece, and you'll have to like maintain the timeline of the project and the number of people that are there and what they will do and things like that. You will not be essentially coding, right? And then there is second path where you still decide to stay as an individual contributor, and you want to work on the larger picture, the architecture of the product and how they are integrated with maybe other products and things like that. So at that time, you'll be coding, you'll be designing, and uh, those kind of things. Like you will be solving the hard problems that maybe junior developers cannot at the company. And in even larger organizations, I think there is like separation, even more granular separation here. So yeah, I mean, at the end of your career, you can become a CTO, or you can choose to stay an individual contributor and an expert in that particular field that you have chosen to master. So there are a lot of people who have like 20 plus year of experience, 25 plus year of experience, and still they are choosing to stay an individual contributor and not take leadership roles and only work on like very difficult technical challenges that the company is facing and still getting paid a lot because of their expertise, right? So I think that's it.
Yeah,
And like, you can always move to generic roles like product management or uh, project management and things like that. Uh, Irrespective of you are software developer or designer or maybe analyst, right? So these kind of people work closely with project managers, product managers, and maybe one of them only become and go to these kind of roles as well, where like in project management you are responsible for the timeline of the project and everything, and in product management you are responsible for solving the problem that is given to you from the business, right? So yeah, any questions here?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Hillary. I think you broke down the career path, and I feel like 1 hour went by so fast. And thank you for staying a little longer, Hillary. I'm sorry for keeping you
Yeah, yeah.
here. But the last question
Mm.
I had, Hillary, was like I'm curious about people that have inspired you, and because there are so many successful IITians in our country, whether it's Kiran Bedi or, who's a successful IPS officer, Sundar Pichai, who's leading Google, but not just IITians. I know, like Sal Khan is someone that inspired you. Like, is there someone that you look at and you see that their impact in the world is something that, you would like to emulate? And I know you mentioned the book you read at college, but was there another book or like a film that really inspired you and shaped your thinking?
So I have actually written down a lot of things that have inspired me, because I know that, if people get like, this is the best part. Like if you maybe go through what I have gone through and maybe get inspired from that, then nothing better than that. Like personal journeys are always, you learn something and then you move on, like in life. But these kind of things actually make impact on you. So I would like to like give a few examples. So there was a book called Creativity Incorporated, if you have heard about it. So someone from Pixar has written it, and they have written on how Pixar works. And Pixar is like one of the best companies I look up to, because the kind of movies that they are making, like Finding Nemo and Coco and like all these amazing movies that children are seeing. And I think the part that I was thinking about now, developing moral responsibility, ethics, and things like that, and to do in order to do that, do cognitive science research and all these things. I think just making these amazing movies, they're achieving that, right? I mean, these movies are so fun to watch, and you kind of get into the character, and then you kind of learn a lesson or two about life at an age where you need that the most. So I think I love Pixar movies, and I have learned a lot from them. Even now, I watch whatever new movie that comes in. And one particular thing that they wrote in that book was explore the neighborhood, which is like, don't just keep thinking about all the paths that you have. Like, if you have like four paths that you have to choose from, don't spend on time just sitting there thinking that what will happen if I choose this, what will happen. Just go ahead, go two steps in that path, come back if that doesn't work out, go ahead in some other path, come back if that doesn't work out. Spend time in doing things, not thinking about them. And I spent a lot of time thinking about things when I was in campus, that who will I become, what career path I will choose, this and that. And if I had like maybe developed an application, or maybe done a small internship at some ministry, or I don't know, like some small bits in whatever careers paths that I had, right? Then it would have been so easy for me to just put a pen on that, this is what I want to do. So I think that's a very important thing. Like, if you are just graduating, or you are like you have already graduated and you are thinking like, what career path should I choose, just choose whatever there is, start learning about it, start doing things, not just learning, start actually applying that. um, Maybe do a small project for someone, just find people, like people are always there to give you some projects or the other to do it for free, right? Like, a lot of people want a lot of things to be done, and if you really go out, there are a lot of people who will help you with the problem statement, and you can actually work on them. So start looking for those kind of opportunities and start experiencing that field, because whatever notions that you have about that field comes from a general consensus. But for you personally, how would you feel it? Because you are a very different person than everyone else in the world, and your motivations would be different, your idea of fun would be different, your idea of satisfaction would be different. So just try it out and see where it leads you. Then actually listening to people that this field is very great, come in this field, and no, it is great for them, not you. So you have to figure it out on your own, right?
Not
So
overthinking, right? Just like
yes,
give it a shot.
don't even overthink it, just give it a shot, that's it. So that was one thing that I learned, and I think I would really want my 18 years self to know that you don't have to choose things once, you can choose it multiple times. You can go wrong, you can fail in something, you can come back, you can choose something else. And that's the, I think, beauty in the kind of era we are living in, because everything is available on the internet. You no longer have to go to a university to learn anything. It was difficult back then, when in our parents situation, where you chose something and you had to stick with it, because there were very little opportunities. But now it is not like that. Now you can be a software engineer, then you can turn into becoming a comedian, or like anything like that is possible in this world, right? So it's a very good place to be in, and to make the best use of it, you have to just jump in at any scale that is possible for you, and not just overthink and do pros and cons, because until and unless you actually do it, you will never know what is it. That's one. Then, so I had this notion that I want to learn everything, I want to do everything, I want to wear different hats. I'm not a kind of person who will go in depth in something. And maybe like a lot of people would resonate with that you enjoy doing things when it is new. As soon as it gets older, you feel like you are stuck, right? You don't want to go ahead in that, you want to try something else. and that happened to me. But at least in the field of software engineering, I would say that, like, because that's something that I've tried, right? Not something else. But I think most of the modern career paths that are there, including computer science, and mostly I'm talking about computer science because of my experience, every day you get to learn something new. Every day you get to build something you have never built before. Every day is like, obviously not like every day, but most of the days, you feel very energetic about doing what you're doing, because you know it's always new. So those who think that being a generalist is fun than going into depth, actually when you experience that depth, which is real, like, the water is so deep that you can never actually go down you can never hit the ground, right? It's just going on and on and on. It's not like you will hit a plateau or something. So going in depth is also not that bad, and in fact it's even more better because you get a lot of confidence by being good at something, right? Like, if you can say that I'm good at this particular thing, then that gives you a lot of self confidence. Whatever you say, like that you do these five things and all, and if you know that how good you are in those five things, not at all good, because if you are working or dividing your time amongst those five things, right? So yeah, I mean, doing one thing and getting better at it, and that also gives you satisfaction, is what I would want to say uh, to my younger self as well. So I think all the people in college who are thinking that I'll get bored in choosing one career and all these things, it's not like that. And if you are in a company or in a situation where it is happening, then you just change your environment. That's it. There are a lot of environments where there is real growth, where there is real opportunities, where there are things that you would really care for building, right? So just choose that over that dead end that you feel you are in, right? Yes. So this earning money part, right? How much money you should earn, like how much is enough, or
Mm.
things like that. I think on that point, I was also kind of confused as to whatever I'm earning is enough. I should not like look for new opportunities or maybe things like that. So that mindset I had. But then I realized eventually that if your closest set of people, like the people in your family, people in your friends group, and all these things, if they are deriving value from that particular thing, that how much X person is earning, or how much, uh, because you are part of family, so you get to spend it together, right? The money. So how much you should earn. So if they have a certain idea about that, and your idea is very vague, that it is enough for me, why should I care, and all these things, and if they have some dreams or something to achieve, then don't feel ashamed in chasing money for them. Like, just be at peace that I'm doing it for myself, and if I don't want it, for my family, and it's fine. Like, you don't have to be burdened that I just want to make good impact on the society. And like, this is for, I think, very specific mindset oriented people, I would say, this advice, who feel, I think, Jagriti Yatra, all the people in Jagriti Yatra might uh, resonate with this thing, that how much impact I should make versus how much money I should make, because all the paths don't lead to everything, right? You have to choose sometimes. So
Because sometimes we feel guilty that we're,
huh,
earning too much, and we think that we're not doing enough good. So I think it doesn't always have to be like so black and white, right? I think you do need money to lead a comfortable life, and I don't think it's a bad thing to, you're not being selfish, you're just looking out for your own family and your own goals, right? When you are earning, and if you've put in the effort and added so much value, I think it's only society's way to show you that your value is equal to this much, like money,
right,
in a lot of ways.
absolutely right. And
Yeah.
once you are at peace with people around you, like the people that care for you and you care for them. uh, doesn't matter money, or maybe where are you situated, like where you want to actually go and work, um, and things like that, whatever it is. I think that's when you actually start thinking and putting efforts into what you really want to do. Otherwise, most of the time, it's just a mental struggle. I want to do this, but they want me to do this. I want to do this, but so just work on it, I think, and do it, and you will not feel that bad actually while you do what if they are your well wishers and you do what they want you to do. So I think that is something that I realized very late in my journey. I read this book called Karma Yoga by Vivekananda, and that led me to this thinking. So most of the learnings that I have had is mostly through books, movies, or things like that, because I don't usually uh, go out and communicate with people. So I feel like I'm learning a little late things in life, but then it also feels very, I would say, good that I'm learning on my own things that I care about. Anyways, that's one thing. Uh, I think third thing that I talked about. And sometimes I would say choosing what to do, like the career path that you want to choose, or whatever, like every day you want to do things. It's more important with whom you are doing it than what you are doing. Like if I'm not a software developer and I'm doing something else anywhere in the world, I think I'd be just fine if like every day I go and people smile at me and then they think about me, they care about me, they put in efforts in my growth, and just that. I think we all need just that. So don't put too much pressure on what you want to become or what you want to do, because sometimes you don't have a choice. One, because a lot of career paths don't lead you to a better life or the life that you deserve. And second, sometimes you thought you would like it, but in reality you might not like it. And still, like if there are people around you uh, that you're happy with, then that particular work will also be, I would say, easy. Like you will have fun, you will enjoy it. So just choose your people, I would say, than profession or anything else. So I have always made sure of this thing that whenever I give an interview, I interview that person as well from that point of mind that how this person will be with me when I join the company. So doing the HR round from your end is also very important. You usually want to end up in good company, right? So good company at good company. So that's also there. Then one thing that has helped me a lot during this journey is, have you watched Finding Nemo?
Yeah, that's my. I like that. Those are two of my Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. I
Yeah.
like both of.
So Finding Nemo, there is this scene where Dory says, do you know whale language? I know whale language. I will talk to the whale in whale language. You remember that scene? That so that kind of inspired me in some way, that even if those people whom you think as whale, like whom you think as big shots in their field, or in the world itself, even though you think you cannot talk to them, gain courage to talk to them, and maybe you will get your direction. So I have written like long emails to, at one point in time in my college, I wanted to go in MIT Media Labs, which were innovation, like they work on technological innovation in different cross functional departments. And there was someone called Nori Oxman. She was working on biomaterials and like imagine buildings are not concretes but biomaterials. Like for example, uh, bees stay in the hive that they have created, right, from their biomaterial. So she was working on those kind of projects, and it was so cool. Like you get no uh, waste from where you live, right? Because that is going to decompose in 200 years or something. So that kind of a thing. So I wrote a very long email to her when I was in first year of my company, like my professional journey, because I was very clueless what I wanted to do. And I wrote that long letter, and I specified like different things, why I'm doing this or what should I do and all. And it gave me clarity. I never got a message from her or reply from her, but it gave me clarity what I wanted to do, or like at least it helped me going somewhere. Then there are people on LinkedIn that I reach out to. Like I said, Khan Academy is something that I really appreciate, like as a force doing something in this world. And there is an Indian office of Khan Academy in Delhi, and there was a product manager there. So I messaged him, and I talked to him like what it is like working there and all these things. And he actually replied, and we talked a lot long for a long time. Yeah, and I said, I'm not a good software developer. So and also I'm not interested that much. What should I do? Like, is product manager management, like, is that role a nice role? Something like that I had written. And it was like he said one thing: you are not a good software developer yet. So that learning, I mean, that thing struck me that, okay, I'm not there, but I will get there eventually if I want to. So that was a big motivation that, even they are not demeaning any other field, that, I'm doing great work and you are not, because you are just building software for some MNC or things like that, right? So that was much of a learning that I had. And I have like messaged a lot of people uh, on LinkedIn, and they have replied as well. Sometimes I've learned from them, sometimes I haven't, but it it kind of gave me clarity that I want at that point in time. So I would say that is also good practice. If you are like an introvert and you don't talk to people a lot, then this is a very good way to actually learn from the best, because I don't think people will be messaging them a lot. I mean, people will generally think that, why would someone like that reply to me? But when you actually send the message, they will like, there are chances that they will reply, and you will be able to learn something or the other, because
Because
people at
sometimes
that.
you get scared, right? You think that they're
Huh,
too big to give you any
yeah,
importance,
right.
but you give it a shot. You never know. Maybe they also want to share like
Hmm,
knowledge and
yeah.
information.
So I call that learning the whale language, and it works for me. Then there are a few, like there are a lot of things that I learned from Naruto, the anime show. I think a lot of people
Have
are
you
already
seen like
fan
all
of.
the episodes, Ravi, of
Yeah, yeah,
Naruto?
I've seen all the episodes. And I had seen the episodes when I was in school as well. I think it was streaming on some channel at that time. But it was just the first part, like the Orochimaru arc, like till there, the show was there. But after that, it was not accessible or streamed or something like that. And then when in COVID, I had a lot of time, a lot of free time, so I watched everything, and it was like very motivating. So I was kind of giving up the idea of doing good in the world, because I was stuck in a software job and was thinking about impact at a very small scale now. Like I started thinking about impact at a very small scale, but that led me again to that direction that okay, my goal should be that it's okay for now if I'm doing impact of this much. My goal should never be this, it should always be this. I'll reach there eventually someday. So that's
And
something.
I remember we also worked on a project when we were so Jagriti Yatra. We that year we were both part of the online cohort, It's this
Yes.
amazing initiative for young Indians that the actual program is you can travel across India, you meet entrepreneurs, and we got to see like like the eye hospital in, I think it was in South India. Then it was just so amazing to see so many young Indians, and I think me and Hillori were part of a group that worked on a small business idea related to teaching, and we actually got like a prize for that idea, right? And I think I think it's nice to see how you are always on the lookout for opportunities where you can add and create value, right, Hillary? I think that, and I think in India now there are so many initiatives, and I feel like people underestimate the power of a platform like LinkedIn as well. I feel like so many people write and want to share knowledge on LinkedIn. And I think for professional growth, it's a great way to connect with people too. And like for like, I wanted to conclude this with any final thoughts that you have, Ilori. I think, I can chat with you for so long, but any final thoughts before we conclude the episode? Maybe like this can be like a final thought for Hillary when she was 18. You've already given me so many points, but if you had to say something to that Hillary when she's starting off her journey, like what would be like one piece of advice or motivation for her?
I think it's good to dream about things, to dream about being extraordinary, to dream about making big impact and all these. But it is also very important to be at peace at the point where you are in life, because you cannot do everything today or tomorrow. It takes time. You need to give time to yourself to learn things, to seize those opportunities that can come anytime, anywhere. Build that confidence that you can maybe do some XYZ thing someday. And it takes time. And if you just keep on overthinking about things that, the current situation, I'm just a ordinary software developer at a startup where like millions of people are in the world, right? But uh, that will actually never help you get where you want to. You need to make peace, and only then your mind gets clarity what to do tomorrow to actually be there when you want to be there. So I think that's what I have learned in, I think, my entire life now. Like, this is the point where I am right now. I'm making peace with whatever I know, whatever I'm doing, wherever I am, because you always think about these big people and the big things that they have done, but they were also at some point in life at point where you are, that you just overlook, right? So that you should not, and that just it just saves so much time and energy, right? To just
Um,
cherish where you are and just be satisfied with that moment in life.
that positive note, we conclude this wonderful episode of Learning Stories. I've learned so much from Hillary and her journey. I will be linking her LinkedIn profile in the show notes. She does write and share her thoughts periodically on that platform. I've learned a lot from her journey, reading her journey, but also talking to her today. And for the listeners tuning in, do stay tuned for more such episodes of amazing young Indians doing powerful things to shape the future of our country. And on that note, I would like to end this episode of Learning Stories.
Thank you, Abhishek.